Just before shooting the second coat of sealing primer, all the course body work is done. We'll shoot the second coat of sealing primer on it. Then do the guide coat and see what sort of fine body work needs to be done. And this down here where the battery tray was damaged has been painted, waiting for the stainless steel tray to be formed and put in there. Boy, a lot of little wrinkly things in there that had to be taken out, especially across the trunk. It was all wrinkly across here. I don't know why. Little spots of hail damage, little things. I hope that that's nice and smooth. I'll find out after I get the next coat of primer on it and then do the guide coat, and we'll see. This right here turned out nice, I think. I've looked down and I can't see any wrinkles in that repair that was made years ago. Moving on with prepping the old Toronado, got to the point to where all of the course body work was done. I shot sealing primer on it first, and then I went in and did all the course body work, sanded it all back, got ready to put the second coat sealing primer on it, a thinned coat. I learned something. The first coat I put on, I'm using this stuff right here, this Speed Coat white epoxy primer. When I sprayed that stuff on there the first time, it had a really rough texture. I mean, it was smooth all over, but the surface was really rough. It sanded perfectly well though. I mixed it, they say mixed it 5% reducer with 4 to 1 and then 5%. I think that would be 4 to 1 to 0.5. This time around, I mixed it 4, 1, 2. I got a much better surface on it, worked much better. However, I did have a catastrophic failure yesterday and toasted a whole quart of primer. If you guys use these disposable, I call them single-use disposable, you have this liner, mix your paint up with your ratios on here, and you have this handy dandy little cap that fits on there. Be sure that when you push this thing down on there, it snaps all the way in. What happened to me yesterday, and I screwed up, is when I toasted a whole quart of primer. I had allowed one edge of this liner to pop down below the shoulder of this. It was sitting in there something like that. Does that show? And then I put this on it and I snapped it in. It felt like it worked fine. What I've heard say do is once you snap this thing in, lift this thing up, and if it's in right, it will lift the liner out of this support bucket here. So these are two parts. It's got a hole in the bottom so that when this thing is used up, it basically collapses on itself, so you don't have to vent it. But when you put that thing in, make sure it snaps all the way down, and then you can pull it out with the paint in it. If you don't have it right, it won't come out. Then you put your collar on. This is what that collar looks like after I cleaned it. I use this gun, and this thing looks great after I cleaned it too. What happened was, you take this and put it on there and you snap it in. Everything looked fine until I put pressure on it. And all of a sudden paint started just wicking out all around this collar here. You gotta be careful, because sometimes this collar doesn't want to go in there straight either. But it goes in there like that, where you push it in and it seals. But paint was coming out all around this and dripping all over the gun. It got all over the gun, it got all over me, it got all over the floor, got a few drips on the car. I did jump away once I saw it. I'll show you. I got a couple of places. Okay, there's some of where it is on the floor where it got away. Yeah, there's a drip right there where it got. I don't know if you can see that. There's another one right there. I started to shoot this up here when I saw it, and when it dripped out, I put my hand under it and caught it and then jumped away. And I didn't screw up the car too bad. But anyway, I'm learning. I think I've got this under control. I shot the whole car, second coat, well, this part right here. I had just enough in the gun to shoot half the top, real light coat on this door, a light coat on this quarter. I came in today, reloaded the gun, made sure everything was snapped up, and used the rest of the paint I had in that gallon. And I was able to put a light coat on the rest of the car. And with that 2 parts of reducer, I like the surface a whole lot better. You can see, I see some lines in the image. I think it's the strobing effect at 60 hertz of the LED lights that I've got up in this garage. But I had to order another whole gallon of this primer, and this primer goes, it's fairly inexpensive. It's like 160 bucks for the primer and the activator. But since it's only 4 to 1 to 2, then I can reduce 2 gallons with that reducer that I've got there of that. So when the other stuff shows up, that should be enough to go ahead and finish getting the primer coat on this car. But I am not at all unhappy with the way this is turning out. Once I get the second coat on it, I'll do a light sanding with a fairly fine grit, probably 400. Then I'll shoot the high build primer on it, do the fine body work. Then once that's done, I'll shoot the paint primer on it, and then the color coat and clear coat. So this is moving along finally reasonably well. I'm not unhappy. Next little segment will be me shooting the thing. Got good cross flow from that filter to the box fans over there, so I'm happy about that. Okay.